welcome to this week's episode of The Language of Leadership. I'm your host, Chuck Marting. Let's picture this. It's 9:02 a.m. on a Monday. The hum of a dozen conversations is replaced by the soft tap keyboards. The break room coffee tastes tired like it's been there since last Friday. Your inbox is already screaming, and somewhere there's supposed to be a leader. Someone whose presence cuts through the noise, gives directions, make you feel like your work matters. But you look around and nothing. You don't see them. You don't feel them. That's not just your office. It's actually America. A 2023 Harris Poll and U.S. News survey found that most Americans cannot name a single leader at their workplace that they admire or want to emulate. Think about that for a minute. In a country with over 160 million workers, the majority don't have a single in-house example of leadership worth following. That's not just bad performance. It's a leadership vacuum. And when leadership collapses like that, it's not quiet. You feel it in morale. You see it in turnover. You hear it in the whisper network of employees already planning their exits. Well, let's get to the numbers, that causes, and more importantly, the fixes. But let's start with something more human. I want you to meet Carla, not her real name, but Carla works in middle management at a major U.S. retail brand. And she tells me, my boss only comes in when there's a crisis. They're never there. So, how's your team? How are you? We never hear that. It's just, fix this now. I feel like a plug in a hole, not a person. And if I'm being honest, I couldn't tell you one thing that this person has done to inspire anyone here. Now, multiply Carla's experience by millions, and you have the picture of what this survey paints. So before we go deep, here's the headline. America is in a corporate leadership crisis, and it's not about a shortage of executives, but a shortage of leaders. Now, this finding of this survey is that most Americans felt no leader at their company was there that they admire. The impact? They had lower engagement, weaker innovation, and eroding trust. In context, similar patterns in public trust in government, media, and other institutions, it's all part of a broader trust recession. So we're going to look under the hood for a minute. You don't lose a whole country's faith in leadership overnight. You lose it one missed conversation, one broken promise, one performative town hall. And you do this one at a time. Now let's talk. Why does America look around the office and see managers instead of leaders? I want to break this down into 4 root causes pulled from the data, the research, and real world stories. So a lot of it first is disconnected leadership. The pandemic accelerated something that was already happening: physical and emotional distance between leaders and their teams. A remote hybrid that reshaped communication was put into place, but many leaders never adapted to their style. A Gallup poll study echoes the warning that engagement is directly tied to visible, approachable leadership. No presence equals no connection. Imagine a CEO who spends most of their week in investor meetings, quarterly reviews, or offsite strategy sessions. The team doesn't see them, except maybe on a pre-recorded video at an annual meeting. That's not leadership. That's a cameo. Now, number 2, there's boardroom friction. That Harris poll hints at a problem at the very top. Only about 22% of the CEOs feel truly supported by their boards. If the board and the CEO are misaligned, That tension seeps into the culture, creating uncertainty all the way down. When leaders are looking over their shoulder to keep their job, they're not looking ahead to inspire you. They're watching their back. Number three, diversity and inclusion rollback. Post 2020, companies made sweeping promises about diversity, equity, and inclusion. Fast forward to today, a 2024 survey found that many firms cutting DE&I budgets are framing it as cost optimization. So the effect, employees, especially those from underrepresented groups, feel that the company's morale compass is spinning. It just drops. Cynicism has spiked. And number four, there's the glass cliff. Women and minorities often get leadership opportunities during crises when the chance of failure is highest. That sets up a proof point for skeptics when things don't turn around fast enough. It's a structural trap, and it perpetuates a lack of lasting, visible leadership and diversity. It all adds up to a country of workers looking up and seeing no one worth following. When leaders disappear into the bureaucracy, they lose morale, authority that comes from showing up. The language here is clear. Their speaking is spreadsheets, KPIs, and shareholder letters, but employees are listening for care, clarity, and conviction. And that's what we're talking about here. If leadership is a language, how do we translate it so people actually hear and that they're going to believe it again? We have to go with a new language. And here's where I'm going to give you just not a diagnosis, but a prescription. Because leadership isn't magic. It's a set of behaviors, habits, and words that build trust over time. First, we have to speak with presence. This isn't just about being visible. It's about being there in what matters. You need to show up at team huddles without an agenda other than just to listen. Send fewer generic all-hand emails and more personal, specific notes. Number two, we have to normalize vulnerability. The leaders people admire aren't flawless. They're human. One mistake, share lessons, let your people see the gears turning, not just the polished output. Number three, we need to build trust. Succession planning isn't about age. It's about readiness. You need to have open conversations about the next generation of leadership. And you need to invest in diverse leadership pipelines so that the face of the leadership reflects the workplace. Number four, we need to align words and actions. If you say you value something, prove it in decisions, budgets, and priorities. Nothing erodes leadership faster than hypocrisy. Now, let's go back to Carla. She didn't quit. Her new VP started showing up at their team meetings, not to give orders, but to ask questions. This made small changes based on the feedback they were receiving. For the first time in years, Carla says, feel like I'm working with leadership, not just under them. The shift didn't require a multi-million-dollar program. It required a leader to speak the right language, one of presence, trust, and action. Here's my challenge in hearing this, and this is for anyone that listens and leads a team, company, or even a project. Look around your workplace and ask yourself, if someone here had to name a leader they admired, would they say my name? If you're not sure, that's your starting point. Because leadership is a language. And right now, America's waiting for someone to speak it. And they want them to speak it fluently. Until next week, when we bring you another episode of The Language of Leadership, take care.